In this next tab, I've rejigged the topology up again. So let's have a look at what we're working with. And we have 4 routers. It's similar to the last one, but all I've done, I've changed around R3 and R4.
If you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, as 86% of viewers aren't currently subscribed.
So we've got R1 now connected to R2 and R3, and R2 and R3 are connected to R4. And R4 has a network that is going to advertise into BGP of 4.4.4.4/32. And let's try and do that configuration. I haven't done any BGP configuration. All I've done is the IP addressing. So we should be able to, if I open up R2, we should be able to ping R1 and R4. Let's do that now. So from R2, so ping 10.1.12.1, and we have reachability. And to R4, 10.1.24.4, and we have reachability. All right, so let's get on with our BGP configuration. Just show BGP summary just to make sure. No, BGP is not running. Okay, that's fine. So R1, we're going to do our configuration. And what I'm going to do this time, in the last video, I didn't show that we had actual NLRI, so network layer reachability. We'll make sure this time that we could actually ping the loopback interface on R4 from all of our autonomous systems. And we'll also make sure that R1 is in its own autonomous system, R2 is in its own autonomous system, R3 and R4. So R1 will be in AS1, R2 will be in AS2, R3 AS3, and R4 AS4. So the first thing that I want to do is set the routing options, edit routing options. And R1's router ID is going to be 1.1.1.1. And its autonomous system is also going to be 1. Then I will set the policy. What I will say is for term 1, set term 1 from protocol direct, which will advertise all of R1's directly connected routes into BGP. Let me say set term 1, then accept. And again, it's going to be a lot of configuration that you could just put into a notepad and copy and paste. But as I said in a previous video, to really get good at BGP, we do the configuration from scratch. And I mean, I'll probably put a timestamp somewhere here where if you don't want to see the BGP configuration, you can fast forward to that part in the video and just see the AS path. So if I remember, I'll put a timestamp somewhere here on the video, you will see it. And you can fast forward past all of this BGP initial setup just to get to how we do the AS path prepending. Next up, we do the BGP part. Top, edit, protocols, BGP, group, router coach external, set type external, set neighbor. First is R2. 10.1.12, and its peer AS is 2. Peer AS is 3. And then we do our export of the policy. So export, just press R. Okay, that should be it. Commit. I'm going to put a comment here, so if I ever needed to roll back in the future, I know what to roll back to. BGP AS Path. Oh, this should be okay. All right, good. Let's go into R2. Now we go into policy. Statement R2 routes. Sector 1. Top edit. Okay. So R2 has a neighbor of R1 and R4. And we're going to export the policy. Set export R2 routes. Now we jump into R3. Edit routing options. Set router ID as 3.3.3.3. Set type as external. Set neighbor as 10.1.13.1. PAS1. Let's do the policy. Set export. Commit. And the last one is R4. And I know I've just been going through it. I haven't been doing any verification, but I will do all the verification at the end. And if there's any troubleshooting to do, then I will look into troubleshooting as well. So edit, routing options. And I do all of this troubleshooting live. It helps your skills. So if you're in the same position in a job, then what would you have to do and what are your processes? What are the thought processes to actually get things working? Set router ID 4.4.4.4. RC external. Set type external. Oh. Policy option, sorry, I'm in the one part. So set term 1 from protocol direct. Set term 1, then accept. Top edit protocols BGP group, which is so I named my policy the wrong way around. I thought I was doing the BGP part. So I named my policy here as RC external. So I will switch it and I'll name my group as, I'm going to name my group as RC external as well. But my policy should have been R4 routes. But it doesn't matter, it's just a name. But don't get confused on what I've been doing here. So let's set our policy first. And we know that that is also RC external. And then set type as external. Lots of externals going on. set neighbor 10.1.24.2 PAS as 2, set neighbor 10.1.34.3 PAS as 3. Let's commit that. Now, if everything has worked well and fine, I should be able to jump onto R1 and see the 4.4.4.4 network from both paths. So if we go again and look into our topology, I should see the 4.4.4 network reachable via R2, which is this top path, and it should also be reachable via R4, which is this bottom path. And we don't know which one's going to be the preferred. It could choose either one, but we should see the reachability to 4.4.4.4 via both paths. So let me jump on R1 and see if that's the case. First thing I will do, run show BGP summary, see if both neighbors have come up, which they have. And now if I say run show route for the protocol BGP 4.4.4.4/32, wow, and it worked first time. And can we tell which path is the preferred path here? Well, we can, because the star tells us which route we will take. So at the moment, to get to the 4.4.4 network, we are going via R2, which is our next hop here. To verify that, if we say run trace to get to 4.4.4.4, and we can see it goes through R2, which is our top path, and then goes on to R4. And the reason for this is we can see that the local preference is the same on both routes. So now it's using the AS path. Go through 2 and then 4. And if it was going through the bottom path, it would go through AS3 to get to AS4. Now what we're going to do, we're going to add something called AS prepending, which will add multiple ASs onto our AS path, and the shorter AS path wins. So if we were to add like an additional 5 AS paths here, then this star should change to the bottom path, because the bottom path will only have 2 ASs that it passes through, 3 and 4, whereas this one will have like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, even though it's the same AS, but it's multiple versions of the same AS. So the AS path will then take the shortest path, which will be 3 and 4. And to do that, we need to jump onto R2 and then modify our policy. So currently, if I was to look at our policy, show policy options, we can see we've just got one statement in here, one term. What I will do here, if I say edit policy options, for the policy statement, I will use the same policy statement, which is R2 routes. But what I will now say is set term, and I will call this term prepend. Then, is it a then? AS path, maybe? Yeah, AS path prepend, and let me add a couple of these, a few of them. So I said 5, yeah? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I actually think that's all we need. I don't think I need a accept or anything, because it will just add on to the bottom here. Let me commit that and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, then we know it needs an accept or something. So let's have a look at the policy statement. Currently, we've got for our R2 routes, term 1 from protocol direct then accept, and term prepend, then AS prepend, add an additional 5 AS paths to our current path. I think that's all that we need. If I was to jump back onto R1 now and run show route protocol BGP 4.4.4.4, yes, it worked. So we can see that the AS path now goes through R3, and we have added an additional 5. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is the ones we've added, and the original one here, and then we go to AS4. So that's excellent. That's work. That's how we change. And as a final verification, let's just do our trace route, how to get to the 4.4.4.4 network. And we can see we're now taking the path via R3. Excellent. Let's move on to the next one.